fait longtemps, hein?
Longtemps.
Ready?
Bon, les mecs, arrêtez de parler, on y va là.
Alright.
Putain, c'est vraiment des pipelettes pires que les meufs, moi.
Welcome to Lac Saint-Cassien. We're here for another electric surfboard review. We did one on the Ravik one a few years ago. We're on board the Awakeboards Ravik 1. So the big debate was, are these brands going to get into the foil market, since Lift Foils and other brands sort of had a big share of the market? And to the surprise of many, here it is, Awakeboards' first foil. What we're here for mainly, the Vinga Awake. Florian had a lot to do with the development, the R&D, and making this board come to life.
I've been like trainer on yachts for different e-foil brands and so on, and I practice a lot of surf foil and e-foil myself. So I was giving the feedback, everything from the tips when you handling the board or to connect, disconnect, and we've been working then with the engineers and the R&D team which makes this happen.
So let's get into the specs of the board. The frame is a 4.6, so it's more geared towards the pro side than the amateur side. So it's more for advanced drivers, surfers, riders.
But what's interesting in this board is that we kept 60 liters of volume, which is quite floaty. That's going to help a lot as well when you're going to do your takeoff. 4.6 on the board, which makes it super nice to ride when it's in the air. You don't have like a big bulky board to fly with. As soon as you take off, then the feeling is so much nicer.
Other brands would have a propeller in a safety frame in the middle of the mast. So the other detail is that the mast is 70 centimeters, and with the jet propulsion being at the back of the stabilizing wing there, the back wing, it feels much smoother. The problem of having a propeller in the mast is that when you get too fast, it messes up with your hydraulics. Battery wise, the batteries of Awake, the cool thing is that you can pop that one out and then put it in that one, the Vinga.
Take my front battery, which is here, and bring it to the Ravik tree. I plug it and then my Ravik tree is ready to go. We have existing customers that have a Ravik, for example, since 2-3 years now, and they want a foil as well, and they just use the existing battery from the Ravik in the foil and vice versa. And if they have one more battery now, they have just more batteries for all their boards.
This is a powder wing, so it's got 1350 millimeters of surface. Awakeboard have another wing which is 1800 millimeters. With the bigger wing, you will pop out of the surface of the water at slower speeds. So it's more stable at lower speeds. This one is more stable at high speeds. We're gonna go for a ride now. I'll tell you what I think about it later. Let's go. Now the foil is a little harder to get on if you're a beginner because there's a couple more steps. So the trick is you actually want to get a lot of speed before you get up because the front of the board needs to be parallel to the lake in this case. Push down forwards, keep the throttle up. Ah, the safety net is under my foot. Ah, get out of there. There we go. It can stay flying for so long. Super stable, not shaky, not a soundless. Unlike the first generation foil boards, they weren't meant to go fast, right? They're meant to give you the new sensation of flying above the water, which is sick right now. But with this one, you can go fast at the same time above the water. It's kind of hard to multitask, film, ride, and talk, but if you put just enough balance on the front so that it holds, you can sort of start increasing the speed. If you put your right hand behind your butt, you open up the shoulder, there we go, we're still flying. Battery's been running all day and we're still got 50%. Perfect location, perfect day. Just did a quick ride with it now. I feel much safer, confident when you pop out, and that's the other main thing. Once you kick out, it has a little bit of power. It doesn't cut off immediately. You kick out, the board rides a little bit more, and then you're out of harm's way.
With it. About 50 centimeters, but that's enough to keep you safe and not take the board on you. About the click system, we're very proud of this because that's like an industry dream to make that happen, because I would say for any kind of foil, wing foil, surf foil, kite foil, you always need to screw and unscrew the mast, and it's quite of a big thing to carry around when it's all mounted. On top of not having cables in any of the Awakeboards, you also don't have screws to connect the mast to the board. Unlock the safety feature, put it here, and I remove the board. And then you have a board which is light, no electronic inside. The electronic here, and you have this full module with the wings.
The battery life on the Ravik 3, we talked about it in the review of the Ravik 1. 40 minutes?
45 to 1 hour.
45 to 1 hour. One of the main differences of the Ravik 3 compared to the Ravik 1, the tail is more narrow. What was the decision behind that? Why is it more narrow?
Basically, having a narrower tail makes the board more agile, so it's going to be much easier to turn as soon as you put some pressure on the back.
And it's smoother on the carve as well.
Smoother on the carve, you don't have to force so much to turn it.
Main differences are the bottom of the board is more V-shaped. You have one flat surface, a V shape, and then another flat surface, which allows you to carve stronger. I think this gives you a smoother ride. One thing I noticed, the acceleration is a bit stronger, no?
Exactly, and this comes from the system inside. We have changed the motor, the impeller, and the electronic controller. The electronic controller makes the board much more responsive on the throttle, gives you much more control.
So the weight of the Ravik 3 is pretty much the same. It's 40 kilos. When I realized that it's a bit more sensitive on the throttle, okay, let's try and send it to the max. Heck,
yeah.
I fell backwards. You have to gradually increase the speed, otherwise.
Exactly, that's because you're riding in extreme mode as well. If you would go in eco, it's a bit nicer in the acceleration, but yeah.
Yeah, I was in extreme mode. How many modes are there?
We have 3 modes, so eco, sport, and extreme.
Alright, should we go drain these batteries now? There's one last trick in the book that I have to try and master. It goes 1 foot back. Oh, it goes 1 foot back, 1 foot back. Oh. Ah. Ideas. I mean, why not, right? Come on, make a turn, make a turn, make a turn. Ah! gonna serve as the outro. Ravik 3, I like the narrow tail. The carving is smoother and you can sort of push the limits a bit harder without losing stability. So, approved. Rating, tough. But first impressions, Ravik 3, solid 8.5. If I was to ride the Ravik 3 in the sea, sunset, with super yachts around, we get to the 9s. And then now, a review, a rating, a score, Awakeboard Vinga. I gotta go with the 9. 9 for a foil. I've only tried, what, 3 brands of foil? For a foil board, a solid 9 points. 9.5, guys. You guys nailed it. It's a sick board. Small frame, long battery life, stable turns. The other ones, since they're a bit slower, it honestly gets a bit boring, in my opinion, after a short amount of time, because you've done it, right? Maybe today also the water's much more calmer, so the foiling sensation is much better. Also, the battery life on this one allows you to go the extra miles. 9.5. There you go. Thank you so much, Awakeboard, for the day. I'm gonna drain this battery. Merci beaucoup. See you next time.